Ah, yes. That was also weird. The logo appeared and there was a bit of music there. It's kind of like intermission music, you know. This is when the commercials would play in the anime. But instead of that, we'll just just continue. There's no commercials. The room with the fireplace was always kept in pristine condition so that they could entertain guests at any time. Walls colorfully decorated with tapestries and stained glass windows gave testament to their great fortune. The service's first assignment every morning was to clean this room. Pictures, silver plates, and silverware were polished to a shine so they could be proudly put to use on a moment's notice. And for the events like their daughter's birthday, the room served an even more important role. The tables' tops were movables, or new tabletops with designs made especially for this occasion. And once the banquet had drawn to a close, tables speckled with half-empty wine glasses and leftover candy fruits were moved off to the side to make room for, of course, the festivities.
Good evening, Lady Nelly. You're looking particularly lovely today. Nelly, I had these jewels cut just for you. You'll let me have this dance, won't you?
I assume it was just random bachelors trying to romance this 14-year-old girl. Little weird by modern standards, but, again, in the context of the setting, it's not that weird. Because the nobility is always trying to set up, they're always trying to set up their family line together, to make alliances, political stuff, whatever, political marriages and everything, so... Anyway, Nelly says, What's the matter, Nelly? You look exhausted. These are pretty good. Want one? I know you like sweets. They're apples, candy, and rock sugar, I think. You disappoint me, dearest Mell. Huh? What do you think is the matter? They just keep coming and never ends. It's driving me up the wall. Everyone's just repeating the same lines they've been taught. They all think pretty jewels and requests to dance are enough to make a girl swoon. Technically, she's 400 years old. I don't know if she's 400 years old. Unless she is, I don't know. Is she a 400-year-old dragon girl? I don't know, man. She doesn't have a dragon tail, so I can't tell for sure. Anyway. But I think that is true for you, Nelly. Though, why is she disappointed with me? I think I'm done with birthday parties after this year. Technically, well, I guess, yeah, if you count, because if this is taking place in the 1600s, and we're in 2020, maybe, how old would she be? Like 420 years old or something? 420. Anyway, they'll probably throw an even bigger one next year. Huh? Why? Well, you're about that age, Nelly. Yes, 14. We are a reasonably distinguished family, so there are a number of different houses that would like to have connections with us. So what you're saying is do it for the family? No, that's not. I won't date or marry anyone. Meh. I have no interest in being used as a pawn in their inter-family politics. Pawn? I wouldn't go that far. And I'm sure Father wants to let you choose for yourself. Someone you actually love. Love? I never thought I would hear you talking about love, dearest Mell. You don't even understand what makes Shakespeare's play so beautiful and you're talking about love. You fell asleep during Romeo and Juliet and you're talking about love. Well, technically, I feel like you missed the point, Nelly. The whole point of Romeo and Juliet is the caution of falling in love, actually. It's all about how you shouldn't just... the whole point of Romeo and Juliet is that Romeo literally fell in love at first sight, and Juliet the same, and they just had like a one-night stand, and then somehow they end up killing each other over just meeting each other at one time. It's kind of like... It's the dangers of putting all your eggs in one basket, even though you don't even know the person, really, is the actual moral of the story in Romeo and Juliet. The whole point is to not fall in love, at least not so shallowly anyway, or shallowy. I don't know if that's a word, but anyway. We all went. We went all the way out to the Globe Theater too. Well, pardon me for being ignorant when it comes to romance and the arts, but you're not, Nelly. Shakespeare's make-believe story made you cry like a baby. Anyone who cried that, you had to be crazy to sleep through it. That reminds me, actually. Yeah, I think it was a school trip. I forget, was it Hamlet or Romeo and Juliet? I think it was Romeo and Juliet. I remember going on a school trip, actually watching a play. You know, the actors were actually quite cool. You know, I don't really watch theater all that much, but it's quite a interesting experience. You know, it's different from movie acting. You know, watching actual live actors doing their parts on the stage and everything. It is cool. At least professional ones. I mean, yeah, well, probably we've all seen a lot of school plays by students. You know, those ones obviously are not as good. But I feel like that kind of taints your perception of what actual professional actors do on stage. Because when you watch actual, like, good actors do it, you know, it's pretty amazing, actually. Anyway. Oh, that's not what I'm saying, though. Someone as emotionally vibrant as you, Nelly, would have no problem finding love. Ah, dearest Mell, we should dance. Lady Nell, could I help this? Let's dance, dearest Mell. What, me? Wait, what about me? Come on, I really like the song. They're playing my song. Quit pulling on me, Nelly. Yeah, that is what, I mean, at least that's what I got from Romeo and Juliet anyway. I mean, I remember, you know, back in high school, we always did those English classes, analyzing the play and everything. From what I understand, Romeo and Juliet, even though a lot of pop culture is all about, oh, you know, these two fall in love and then they die at the end, how tragic. The whole point is that, at least what Shakespeare is trying to say, is that you shouldn't just, you know, you shouldn't just do that. It's kind of dumb that Romeo, basically he was just horny, by the way. That's how it's summarized. Romeo was just horny for Juliet. And then that's it, you know, that's the story. That's why they end up together with no real, like, actual relationship. I imagine if they actually, here's the thing, if they actually survived the play, probably, like, after a few weeks they would break up, is the idea. That's what Shakespeare was getting at, you know? Anyway. Anyway, going back to the story. Quit pulling on me, Nelly. What's the point of us dancing? We're siblings. Mother and father are staring daggers at us. No matter. What day is it today, dearest Mell? Your birthday. Exactly, so I can do what I want. Now attend to your princess as a proper prince should. Ah, jeez. How did I get myself into this? Nelly's skirt fluttered along with her as she stepped in time to the music. She was not only a skilled singer, but a skilled dancer as well. Mell, on the other hand, fumbled over his own feet trying to keep up. You gotta, like, you know, didn't you learn the waltz? You gotta step in like a square, right? That's how you do it. One would be hard-pressed to describe his dance abilities as good, even as flattery. The boys of his pedigree were taught to dance as part of their etiquette lessons. He found himself more being dragged around by his sister. He could hardly be said to be attending to her. Oh, this is humiliating, you know, as my sprite just wiggles left and right. Because his parents had been hands-off in raising him, largely giving him free rein to study and learn what he pleased, Mell looked like a tangled-up marionette. From throughout the hall, he could hear giggling, uncomfortable chuckling, and people coughing to disguise their laughter. Come now, dearest Mell. If this is the best you can manage, what are you gonna do when you find a girl that catches your eye? I won't, so it doesn't matter. Follow my lead, Mell. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You know, actually, you know, now I understand why this art looks interesting to me. It reminds me of Castlevania art. That's what it is. I think that's what it is, actually. Definitely like the Castlevania, at least, you know, Sympathy of the Night, I guess, you know, those like 2D, well, I mean, I guess most of them are 2D, but you know, the ones with like the really good sprite work, you know, like around the PlayStation era Castlevania games. That's what it reminds me of, actually. Yeah. Nellie alone enjoyed her time dancing with her brother, and quite thoroughly at that. It did not matter to her that he moved awkwardly or that the guests were giving them cold stares. It was their parents who first cracked under the pressure. Just as their father was about to give an exaggerated cough and stop the music, a ruckus suddenly swelled up near the entrance. No? What could that be? Who knows? Whatever is going on, I've been spared. The music came to a stop and the party guests began bustling. The siblings and his father spoke up sternly above the noise in order to quell the spreading commotion. He ordered the servants to investigate, and the music restarted, gave a short apology for the interruption, and set the party back on course. I went to go check on the entrance of the other servants, as I recall. Oh my, why are you looking at me like that? Wait a minute. Well then, I actually don't know. Like, I don't know what year we're in. In the present time? But how old is this maid? I wonder. Well, these are not my memories, but those which dwell within the mansion. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, that's what we were insinuating, maybe. Because apparently, again, this maid is retelling the stories of this mansion. And some of those memories include her, but apparently it's not her, like, from her perspective? Is what she's saying? I don't know. Do you think we should be following what happens next from my perspective, then? That is not what confused you? Well, your questions shall be answered in time. In time. Now, let us return to our tale. Though the party had fallen still for a moment, their father's decisive actions restored the guests' festive moods in short order, so it was not by any means the commotion that caused the ball to conclude earlier than planned. Thunder. Orange, to you it feels like that old anime art style, where everything looked metal and sharp but painted. I don't know. When I think of like retro anime, though, I think like, well, I think Sailor Moon basically, you know, and it doesn't really look like Sailor Moon to me. When I think anyway, retro anime or old anime in my head. But anyway, thunder. Oh dear, I hear thunder. Oh, it was rather loud too. Sounds like we have quite a storm brewing. They lived in a country where the weather was nothing if not unpredictable. Rain was a frequent occurrence there. I mean, that reminds me of, I mean, wouldn't that be in Britain or whatever? Or at least England, I guess? Or I always mix it up. England, Britain, the British Isles, Great Britain, you know, I always mix all those terms up. I don't know which is which, to be honest. Like, which is the city, which is the country, I don't know, which is, I have no idea. You know, but around that area is what I've heard that the climate is usually raining. So, you know, maybe they live around there. Maybe France. Oh, they're not really speaking French though, but anyway. The stretches of time with clear skies grew longer as summer approached, but the weather was still somewhat unstable on the cusp of the two seasons. Somewhere there, somewhere on an island, you know, I don't know. They had a strong wind that night as well, which turned the raindrops into little spears on the window. Were the party to continue on any longer, no one would be able to go home. Although their father was quite concerned that Nellie had not got on with any of the aristocrat boys, he decided to cut the festivities short. Alright. Well, that's the birthday party. Oh, thank goodness, and ended early. How lucky I am! This must be a blessing for always being such a good girl. I'm not sure having your own birthday party cut short counts as lucky. But it was no fun. I can't help it if I'm not enjoying myself. And for heaven's sake, Arthur was there. Or rather, Arthur was here. What do you mean Arthur? Arthur Pendragon? No. Probably not. I don't think Arthur Pendragon was even in the same era as this setting. I have no interest in dancing of that dunce. All he does, you know, is yell Excalibur and like eat a bunch of food, you see. Arthur? Who's that again? Someone who was here? Unbelievable. You don't remember anything, do you, dearest Mell? He came over to play a few times when we were little. He's covered in gross freckles. Oh, that's rude. And he's a huge jerk. Well, if he has a bad personality, then it might be justified. But you didn't gross freckles, though. That's just a low blow. You said my hair looked like the color of fallen leaves. Fallen leaves! I mean, is that a bad thing? I guess fallen leaves are like orange, right? Orange or yellowish. It doesn't really look like that. Just thinking about that ugly smirk has me fuming. And yet he acts like nothing happened. He even calls me Lady Nelly. For goodness sake. Lady Nelly. Lady Nelly. Are you listening, dearest Mell? I'm listening. I wonder what the ruckus earlier was. Ah, you weren't listening, were you? Who cares about that? Sorry, but aren't you curious? It probably wasn't another guess, at least. Maybe a cat sneaked in. You think so? I do. But enough about that. Would you like to play cards in my room, dearest Mell? Let's play Go Fish. Seriously? I'm exhausted, though. It's not even that late. Fine. Something feels kind of off. A cat? I want to go check. Come on, hurry up! Hold on. You don't need to drag me, Nelly. My birthday isn't over yet, so you're not done attending to me. Oh, Nelly. Oh, Nelly. Isn't that like a phrase? Oh. Whoa, Nelly. As ominous thunder sounds happen in the background. The rain just won't let up. I can't sleep. I wonder what the commotion earlier was about. For goodness sake. It's all the storm's fault. That's why I can't sleep. I'm just fretting over nothing. I'm sure Nelly was right. It was a cat, or maybe a dog. Oops, I actually... it was just a cat, maybe a dog. But it's a good thing, you know, if there's one positive for no voice acting, is that if I accidentally skip the text, it doesn't cut off the voice acting, because there isn't any, right? So it's great. I don't have to worry about that anymore. If I accidentally skip a dialogue, I just look back in the log and that's it. Anyway, I can't sleep. I hardly ever have this much trouble falling asleep. What could this feeling be, I wonder? It's not quite foreboding. Walking around the house at this time of the night isn't gonna help anything. But I'm not gonna fall asleep just lying here. The only sounds that could be heard in the dark corridors were the sharp pitter-patter of the rain, his footsteps, and his breathing. Though he was intimately familiar with the layout of the house, that night, the hallways felt like an endless labyrinth veiled in shadows. Uh-oh. This music sounds scary. No moonlight shone through the window, so he naturally found himself moving cautiously, despite being in his own residence. Keeping the palm of his hand pressed up against the chilly wall, he put up one foot in front of the other. But to where was he supposed to head? Mell, of course, had no way of answering that question himself. If he had anything, it was guidance from above, the path to his destination led by flashes of lightning. Or perhaps there was something else leading him along. Though he progressed with a fair bit of hesitation in his step, Mell was surely but slowly drawing nearer to one room in particular. He made his way through the seemingly endless halls. Past the living room, its fireplace long since cooled. Into another corridor. And then stopped outside an Abigail's bedchamber. An Abigail's bed... You know, I've always heard Abigail as a name. I didn't know Abigail was also an object. I didn't know that. I don't even know what an Abigail is. Well, the dim glow of a lamp spilled through the cracks in the door. A gust of wind is not necessary to make a flame flicker. A person's movements or vibrations in the air from someone speaking, the slightest emotions can cause the light of a fire to quiver. shifting subtly as though nudged by an invisible fingertip. I can see light from inside. Is she still awake? A voice. He seemed to be hesitating. Uh-oh. This seems like a bad thing's gonna happen. It would not be difficult for him to approach the door and peer inside. But he had reservations about peeping in on another's chambers, even if it wasn't his own house. Moreover, this room was assigned to a woman. There was a woman behind that door. What would you do, master, in this situation? Would you succumb to your curiosity and gaze inside? Or would you respect the owner's privacy? I shouldn't be doing this. But the voice, I feel like it's calling to me? Or someone else? Yes, me. Could sense someone watching me at that moment. It's the maid, I think, right? So yeah, it's kind of confusing, but I think the maid is behind this door. He had succumbed to his curiosity. He stood on the other side of the door from me, his flaxen eyes. Also, they keep using the word flaxen. I actually don't know what flaxen means. You know what? I'm gonna look it up. I don't know what an Abigail is. I don't know what a flaxen is. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna Google it and learn and expand my brain. Flaxen is especially of hair of the pale yellow color of dressed flax. Okay, pale yellow color. I keep using that word, flaxen, you know? So pale yellow, is describing their hair, I guess. And also an Abigail? What's an Abigail? An Abigail as like a noun would be a lady's personal. Oh, okay, a lady's personal maid. Okay, that's what an Abigail is. So he actually was going towards the maids' like bedchambers, I guess. That's what it means. All right. Anyway. Yeah, he's still on the other side of the door. His eyes are open wide, trying to remain as invisible as possible. The wavering in his heart seemed to create faint ripples in the air, which I pretended not to notice. Yes, I knew he was there. I could sense his presence and his wavering emotions. However, I cannot begin to speculate as to his true feelings or how great a surprise this was to him. I too am discovering new facets of this tale by viewing it through the eyes of the mansion. But it is not I who is of concern, master. It is you. You and... I know I shouldn't be doing this. I should be ashamed of myself. But I can't look away. Okay, he's a peeping Tom. Who is that? Okay. Her skin. It's so pale you can practically see through it. Is it that white because she was out in the cold rain? Her hair is white as snow, and her eyes, they're like, how do I describe it? My vocabulary truly lacks for situations like this. They look like blood. No, that's just disturbing. Then wine, perhaps? No, more translucent than that. Gemstones, then? Yes, gemstones. Her eyes are like rubies. Ruby? I'm just reminded. This is a completely wrong situation to make a reference to this. But then I'm just reminded of, like, bombs, lamp oil, rope. It's all yours, my friend, as long as you have enough rupees. Anyway, her eyes are like rupees. I've never seen anyone like her before. What could they be talking about? Mell's eyes were fixed on this particular young woman. She had glass-like skin, eyes that glimmered in the flickering candlelight, and snow-white hair that flowed like luxurious silk. Her lips were bluish-purple, her soft, delicate skin sullied with grime, her twinkling eyes pointed down the floor, and her hair a disheveled mess. She was, even at a glance, clearly not a lady of means. The tips of her fingers were cracked from the cold, her nails pale from malnutrition, and her garb little more than rags. However, true beauty is always visible, no matter what it may be hidden beneath. Even wrapped in a veil of insalubrity, even if she thought herself hideous. I wonder what happened to her. Mell could no longer avert his gaze from the girl's visage. He had, for the time being, forgotten the shame he felt for peeping. As he strained his ears to hear the conversation taking place inside, a sickly voice arose from the white-haired girl's purple lips. So feeble was the sound that a gentle breeze blowing through the room could carry it away. Okay, so she's speaking now. I apologize for the trouble. Think nothing of it. Give your apologies and thanks to the mistress. Understood. There's something strangely comforting about this house, almost as I've been here before. If my father were here, I'm sure he'd be quite fond of it. I'm sorry about your father. There's nothing you could have done, I imagine. When you came to our rescue, he was already... Rescue? Father? Was that perchance what the commotion was about? He stared intently, entranced by the scene unfolding beyond the door. A gaze can often signal one's presence to others more effectively than words. The white-haired girl could likely sense him there as well. She flicked her gem-like eyes upward. Alright. That was when the boy finally felt a pang of panic. For a split second, his flaxen eyes met her ruby eyes, causing him to recoil from the door. His heart was pounding like the rain outside. Careful not to make a sound, he took 2 steps away. Did she catch me? I'm not sure. It was only for a moment. She can't have seen me. The boy did not have the courage to peek in on the room a second time, so he cautiously returned to his bedchamber as quietly as he could manage. Okay? I mean, isn't he... I mean, it's just the maid, right? He could I don't know. I mean, is it all that weird? I mean, he was peeping a little bit, which is, not very polite. But at the same time, he is the son of the owner of this mansion, I assume. And, you could be like, oh, sorry. You could be like, oh, sorry, guys. I was just like, I didn't feel like sleeping, so I was walking around. I saw the door open. I was kind of curious. I'm sorry for peeping, guys, but who's this girl? Can I ask where she is? I don't know, anyway. Maybe beneath his covers, he kind of erased that girl's eyes from his memories, but instead he just runs away. That makes you more suspicious, actually. He's just like, uh-oh, run away. Her melancholic red irises, her voice, delicate as a glass sculpture, her pale, almost lifeless skin, her pure white hair. Every singular detail kept him from banishing her image from his mind. Oh boy, Actually, I already forgot his name. How did I already forget his name? What is his name again? Does it say? Mell. I don't know where his name. I remember Nelly. Her name is just stuck in my mind now because whoa, Nelly, But Mell, I was gonna say Mell. I guess maybe fell in love, Uh-oh. But nor could he restrain his heavily pounding heart. It goes doki doki. Who could she be? Alright, I'm gonna go over here now. Is something the matter? No, I thought I felt someone watching us. It's only your imagination, I'm sure. If not your imagination, then perhaps some unseen force was watching you. Unseen force? Are you familiar with how people refer to this mansion? Rose Manor. Yes, indeed. It's called Rose Manor because you could smell the sweet fragrance of the rose garden even at a great distance. But that's not what I meant. It is said that a witch resides within the house. The witch's house. A witch? I have not heard any such stories, though I did play an RPG Maker game about that, actually, called The Witch's House. It's very scary and also quite punishing. You probably wouldn't have. It was very, very long time ago. Nothing you need to concern yourself with. It was an old game. You have a peculiar presence about you. Should I consider that a compliment? It's getting late. You should get some rest. Our room has already been set aside for you. But first, may I ask you one thing? Yes? I do not believe you have given me your name yet. My name is... L? Okay. L? Yeah. L from Death Note? No? No. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we didn't see the name, actually. Yeah. Wake up! Get up, Mel! Okay. The L was from Mel, not from the girl. Anyway. What? It's morning. You disappoint me, dearest Mel. It's very much long since morning. I didn't see you at breakfast, so I came to find out what was the matter. I've really been asleep that long? My father's too lenient on you, dearest Mel. Oversleeping is hardly proper behavior for a firstborn son. I know. But before that... Yes, dearest Mel? What are you doing in here? You can't just go prancing into a boy's bedchamber. It's like an anime trope, when you get woken up in the morning by a cute girl or something, I don't know. I'll leave that to the servants. I did send one for you. You're the one who refused to wake up. Besides, it's not like we're strangers. We used to sleep together all the time. That was long ago. It's kind of weird now, when we're grown up, we can't just do that. That's kind of weird. Things are different now. Oh, you're overthinking it, silly. Now hurry up. Out of the bed, sleepyhead. Alright, I'm getting up. So, you can see yourself out. Oh my, you look awful, dearest Mel. For someone who overslept, you look like you didn't get a wink of sleep last night. You think so? You didn't go out on the town last night, did you? Naughty, naughty boy. I would never. You know that. You squeaked. I don't think I believe you. I didn't go out last night or anything. I'm tired because you had me playing cards until late, Nelly. Hey, we're playing for that long. Besides, look at me, I got up just fine. Anyway, shoo! I can't get dressed with you in here. Fine, I'm leaving. Oh, I almost forgot. What now? Come on, no need to be mean. I'm sure you'd be quite surprised in the news. Oh? At breakfast, which you missed, Father told us. Told you what? Do I really want to say? It sounds like you want me out of your room, dearest Mel. Please, Nelly. Well, we got a new maid today. From a house we have ties to, supposedly. I've never seen anyone like her before. For supposedly coming from a good family, she isn't very graceful, and I've never seen her at social gatherings. But that's not the surprising part. Does that maid... She's peculiar. She has a very unusual appearance, that one. Does she have white hair? What? How do you know that, dearest Mel? Thanks, Nelly. Hey, get back here. Okay, so yeah, the white-haired girl, I guess, new maid, which makes sense. That's why she was in the Abigail's bedchambers or whatever. For goodness' sake, what's gotten into him? It's like he found his waifu or something. I guess he likes white-haired girls. At the time, the majority of the servants in the mansion were men. However, the ladies of the house all had Abigails, so there were several women servants, myself included. The maids, by and large, were selected from the daughters of other esteemed families. It was, you could say, a sort of training before they enter society. Is that how it works? I don't know if that's how it works. In real life? I don't think I don't think the daughters of like a noble family train as a maid and then, for like job training or whatever. It's like internship, I don't know if that was the thing, actually. I have no idea. I always assume, if you were like a servant, you would just be like from a lower class. And then you happen to, be working for like a richer family and everything, right? Not sure. But the girls were servant houses even more powerful than their own. And the white-haired girl Mel saw the night before was one such maid. When he heard this, Mel could not sit still any longer. I didn't think this through, did I? I don't even know where she is. I'm guessing she's probably Mother's maid. White hair. It has to be a girl from last night. But deep down, he was having difficulty believing the young woman he had seen the previous night was truly here to be a servant. And can you blame him? When he saw her, she was an absolute mess. Hardly what you would envision from a girl of class. But he did not seek her to find out whether that was true. He merely wanted to see her once more to ascertain whether what he had witnessed the previous night was real or his imagination. And he wanted to have an actual conversation with her. I wonder why. I don't want to run into Mother, that'll be awkward. He was heading towards his mother's bedchamber, but the closer he drew, the heavier each step grew. He rounded the corner, debating whether or not to head back and stop in his tracks. On occasion, wishes do come true. When Mell turned the corner, he saw her, the same girl, that same white hair. She appeared to be cleaning the hallway. She traced along the wooden carvings lining the walls, making certain not to miss even a speck of dust. The girl wore a pristine dress, the uniform of the mansion's Abigails. There was no longer any filth to obscure her beauty. All that had covered her pure white hair and glass-like skin was no longer. The one thing that had not changed was her listless, ruby eyes. Pardon me. Okay. Maid waifu. Hearing his footsteps, the young woman raised her head. She caught Mell's gaze and for a brief moment merely blinked at him in silence. Lord Mell, yes? Your father informed me of you. Did he? I guess I don't need to introduce myself then. I believe she made an attempt to smile, though it was difficult to tell, and she quickly dropped her gaze back to the floor. Flax and Ruby met only for the briefest of moments. She seemed to be looking at both someone and no one at all. Everyone here truly has the most beautiful color of hair. Did you have business with the mistress, Lord Mell? I can let her know if you would like. No, I was looking for you. For me? Mell felt as though all the blood in his body had begun to flow backwards. He could not effectively describe the sensation, but in a word, it resembled panic. On his way to find her, Mell had come over a number of subjects he wanted to talk about, and he generally had little trouble speaking with others. He'd had less experience interacting with women, this was true, but the time he had spent on Nellie had kept him from stumbling too much. Until then. Yes, for you. Okay, I assume that's all to describe him dropping his spaghetti. You know, that's basically what the narration was describing. Why would you be looking for me, Lord Mell? I was wondering how you were doing. Pardon? I'm quite fine. Good. That's great. Great to hear. You fool, Mell. What are you even saying? You have more important things to ask, like where she came from, or to tell her she has pretty hair and eyes. That never works, though. They always say that, by the way, when you compliment someone, especially in the flirting context. You say, "Oh, you have the prettiest of eyes," and I always feel like, well, thanks, I was born with it. It's like that doesn't mean much when you tell someone they have pretty eyes or hair. I don't know, unless they particularly feel proud of it. Otherwise, it just feels like a very generic compliment. Doesn't mean anything. Anyway, but I don't want to trouble her too much. Lord Mell? Yes? Sorry, you just suddenly fell silent. Was I, in your way? In my way? No, not at all. What are you up to? I'm cleaning. I'm a maid. Could you stop disturbing me? I'm trying to work here. I'm cleaning. Yes. Well, yeah, I didn't even need to ask that. Yeah, you're cleaning. God, I'm in my totally non-canon imagination of the white-haired girl. I like to think that she's in her head. She's thinking God, I hate the rich. God damn it, no. This freaking rich boy is disturbing me. I'm trying to earn my rent. This guy is just interrupting me. I'm trying to clean the floors here, buddy. Get out of here. No, can you just let the other servants take care of the cleaning? Or you can just let the other servants take care of the cleaning? You're one of the nobles' daughters we took in, right? And why is Mother making... No, I'm doing this because I want to. The mistress appeared to be busy, and I cannot simply be idle. But I enjoy cleaning. Do you? I mean, I don't know. Some people might enjoy cleaning, I guess. It's not exactly a bad thing. You know, it might be a perfect job. If you like cleaning, maybe you should be a maid. Maybe she simply applied to the job position in particular to clean things. Anyway. Yesterday, this mansion is truly a thing of beauty. All the many roses in the garden, even the furnishing has had great deal of thought put into it. This family must have had a wonderful sense of aesthetic. Oh, yeah, thanks. Even though I didn't do anything. The maid, the maid might be egging you on a little. I was pretty even the mansions. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand your sentence. Anyway, yeah, thanks. Did she just change the subject on me? She doesn't like talking to me, that's what it is. I'm delighted to have been given the opportunity to serve in such a magnificent house. Mother and father had actually had nothing to do with that. I'm in the garden. That's all been around since my grandfather's time. The mansion was a complete wreck when he bought it. Oh, was it? Yeah, frankly, I'm surprised he actually paid money for it. The chandelier in the foyer was shattered and only half attached to the ceiling. Most of the decorations of the walls are broken. I can hardly imagine. Sorry for the time. Yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time reading sometimes messages. Not even Twitch chat, but even YouTube comments sometimes. I don't know. I'm not very... It's really hard for me to read something if it's not immaculate grammar. You know, even though obviously you can't expect that from everyone all the time. It's just, you know... I just have a hard time reading something if it's not, you know, perfectly spelled and everything. I don't know. I try not to be a grammar Nazi or anything, but you know, it's just I can't, you know, I can't understand it if it's weirdly written. Anyway, but this game though, I must say though, this game so far though, speaking of typos, you know, I'm so used to noticing typos actually in other visual novels. So far, this game seems actually well translated and everything, so there actually hasn't been any typos so far, at least from what I've read, it seems. Anyway, every time I'm kind of distracted actually. Mother and father had nothing to do with renovating the mansion. The grandfather was the person that redid everything, I guess, you know? I can hardly imagine. This is marvelous. This is a marvelous, impressive house. I'm sure he'd be flattered to hear it. My grandfather was a bit of an eccentric. He liked to do things people didn't expect just to watch the looks of surprise on their faces. He was the kind of man who would buy a mansion that was beyond repair just to give it a completely new life. Everyone who had seen the property before it was renovated was astonished. They regretted not taking the opportunity themselves, seeing the transformation it underwent. Huh? I was just thinking that you're kind of like this house. What do you mean by that? I mean, when you first arrived. Uh-oh, you can't let that slip, Mell. Oh, no, never mind, forget it. She'll figure out you were peeping on her, stupid. She hasn't yet, has she? Yes? It's nothing. The more I think about it, you and the mansion aren't really comparable. Okay. Well, what he's trying to say, which is a weird, I don't know, it feels like it's a backhanded compliment, I don't know. But he was trying to say that she seemed, you know, bad looking, I guess. She didn't seem very well kept until she dressed up, you know, and put on the maid uniform, I guess. That would sound insulting though, isn't it? I don't know. Like, you were ugly before, but now you're beautiful, haha! You know, it's like, wait a minute. So you thought I was ugly? Well, the truth is, it being a run-down mess isn't the only reason nobody wanted to buy the house. They say What happened? What happened? That all who dwell within this house shall be met with misfortune. Do you believe it? Yeah, so silly. You know, they always say that this house is cursed and everything. Don't worry about it though. I'm just kidding. It's not actually true. Don't worry about it. You know, this game is not tag horror or anything. It's all rumors and hearsay, embellished to make the tale more exciting. You're like, yo girl, you look like a building. You know, you look like my mansion. No, it's all rumors and hearsay, embellished to make the tale more exciting. The rumors only started because of how I used to look. If the mansion truly begot misfortune, then, well, we wouldn't still be here, right? And it wouldn't explain how my grandfather died. Do you know how he passed away? No, how did he? Inside a lovely lady. Wait, what? Wait a minute. This is like a setup for like a punchline. Actually, it is the punchline. I feel like it's like he's saying the punchline before the joke. Anyway, what? Believe it or not, was how he died, together with a young, beautiful woman. His time ran out while he was making love to her, they say. Okay. Is that what they always say? You know, whenever someone asks, I always see this, but like whenever someone asks on like a thread or something, like, how would you like to die? And everyone, not everyone, but a lot of answers always say, well, I would like to die what I, you know, like doing best. Having sex. I don't know about that. It's a rather crude way to go. I would agree. That would be, I don't know, that would just be disturbing, actually. You would just, you know, in the middle of it, you would just be a corpse. That would just be weird for the other person. Unless the other person also dies, I guess. I don't know. Anyway. But he was hardly misfortunate. What did I tell you? Yes? Just so you know, I promise I didn't inherit my grandfather's propensity for such base behavior. You know, I'm totally not a pervert, by the way. I am pure of body and spirit, dedicated wholly to my studies, so... Hey, she laughed. My apologies. No, it's fine. Anyway, we were talking about the mansion, right? I've always thought it was a kind of a strange place myself. That dress you're wearing, it was found here after my grandfather brought it. Or bought it, rather. You don't see that kind of design around these parts, so I'm guessing it was probably imported. The architecture is really old-fashioned too, which must have caught grandfather's eye. When he announced his plans to buy it, the entire family opposed his decision, but he refused to budge. Renovation upon renovation gave the mansion a new life, but of all his work, he was most fond of the roses in the garden. He collected species from all across the world, and every time he got a new one, he would summon gardeners to arrange and grow them. It took incredibly long to complete. There were even some that wouldn't grow in the climate of this land, but grandfather refused to give in. He truly loved roses. Me, I don't really get how someone could be so impassioned about them. It's just embarrassing every time someone calls this house Rose Manor. Perhaps the roses were meant for someone. What? I'm simply speculating. Roses make wonderful gifts after all. Indeed, they do. If you like roses as much as Nelly, then you're welcome to go see them for yourself. Pick as many as you like. If anyone asks, just say I gave you permission. Don't be so shy. I'm sure it'll get tiring if all you do is work. No, I'm sensitive to sunlight. I mean, vampire? No. I don't know if she's a vampire, but I mean in real life as well, if you have like albino skin or whatever, that is true actually. You are actually sensitive to sunlight. It's not just vampires that are sensitive to sunlight. Oh, well that's unusual. Perhaps that explains why you're so pale. I had no idea. That sounds rough. And your skin is so pretty too. You know, it's interesting actually, I didn't think about it. You know, I was thinking of corsets, right? Another like weird fashion trend back in the Victorian era actually, beyond just corsets I've read, was also having like very pale skin. So actually, in those days, what women would do, actually, in order to have that pale skin and like flushed cheeks, was to actually let themselves get infected by, I believe, tuberculosis or how you say that word? Tuberculosis or something. Tuberculosis. I can't remember what the name of the disease was, but basically they would intentionally get sick, with like a deadly disease, just to look a certain way and just to look like, to make them look like they have pale skin, because at the time that was actually the epitome of beauty. So actually, her having pale skin and everything, it does make sense that everyone thinks she's beautiful because she's actually meeting the standards of beauty at the time, probably. Yeah, they also took poison as well. Yeah, I don't know. People, they went to great lengths in order to look a certain way. I mean, obviously, I think it's crazy, but it's insane. You poison yourself just to look good. I don't know. But that's why we have makeup these days, I guess. I don't know. You don't seem terribly surprised. What? Oh no, I'm very much surprised. Or would you have preferred a more dramatic response? No, I expect you to find it disturbing. I'm sensitive to sunlight and can hardly spend any time outside. I mean, I'm also sensitive to sunlight and can hardly spend any time outside, but it's not because I have pale skin. In real life, by the way, I'm talking about myself. Rather, I just don't like going outside. And also, technically, at the time of recording this, there's a pandemic going on, and people recommend you to not go outside in the first place, so that's even more reason to not go outside, but anyway. That makes me sound like some kind of demonic creature. Or rather, like a hikikomori, really. Oh, you worry too much. There's not a monster in the world as sweet as you. Wow, smooth. Yes? Are the other maids teasing you, perhaps? That black-haired one especially, she's... how should I put it? A little frightening. Almost as if she has a steel heart or something. She's impenetrable. Right. She's one of Mother's maids too, isn't she? Now I'm even more worried. Since you refuse to follow my instructions, you are henceforth hellspawn. I can imagine saying that. Oh, and again. I'm very sorry. No need to apologize. In fact, I wish you laugh more. Laugh more at my bad jokes, please. She's actually very kind to me, and everything she does with incredible precision and efficiency. She looks so young, and yet she has such skill. How long has she been here in the mansion? Actually, she's been here for quite some time, but I don't know exactly how long. No one knows how old she is. It's kind of creepy. Yeah, it's kind of creepy, this maid is narrating this entire visual novel. It's like she's immortal or something, I don't know, man. I have never once considered her such. Sorry, you're right. It's bad manners to speak ill of others. Either way, she still scares me. It's like there's no light in her eyes, or like her smiles are all faked. That doesn't make her any less pretty, though. The conversation died. I have to think of something else to talk about. Aren't you supposed to eat breakfast, by the way? You haven't eaten breakfast? Your bacon and eggs are getting cold, Mel. Actually, I don't know what they eat. In this like noble house. I don't know if they eat bacon and eggs necessarily. They probably eat something fancy. Yes, you can ask me anything. Does the master, your father, Lord Mell, often retire from the mansion? I have not seen him around. Oh, yeah. Father frequently returns home. This mansion is actually our secondary house. Oh, goddamn bourgeoisie, owning multiple houses. Such a rich person thing to do. To own like 2 houses. Why do you ask, though? I was just curious, nothing more. Oh. Yes, what is it? One of the maids asked to see me, so I should be on my way, if you excuse me. Alright, see you later then. Goodbye. Alright, one moment. Since you're sensitive to the sun, I can pick some roses from time to time for you. For you to decorate your room. Lord Mell. That's all. Sorry for holding you up. Why am I so bad at this? She definitely thinks I'm obnoxious. I want to hide under a rock. I want to reverse time and try this again. Bites a dusto. Roses are not becoming of me. He is too kind. Alright. So there was like Mel's awkward attempt at flirting. With his maid. Da 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 da. Alright.